Hey everybody, welcome to Tim's Vinyl Confessions. I'm Tim Derling, and as I'm filming this, it is the 78th birthday of the Red Rocker, Sammy Hagar. Incredible staying power. This guy's still doing it, doing what he does best, and one of a handful of classic rock singers that still has the majority of his vocal pipes together. And that's what we're celebrating. So today I'm going to do an episode that I'm surprised I haven't done. I guess you could say in some ways I was waiting on something, but I doubt I'm going to find it. So I'm going to go through my Sammy Hagar 8-track collection, most of which are quite rare. The rest are super rare. These are not carts you're likely to see in the wild, at least not up here in Canada. So let's go through them. Solo, talking about Sammy's solo albums, of course. First album, 1976, 9 on a 10 scale. His debut album on Capitol Records. The very strange album cover, really not much red on it. You could say he's in red, but it's a weird looking album cover, I've always thought. Very typical looking Capitol 8-track the US were using at this time. You could always tell they've got those lines down there. Hadn't started using the barcodes yet. So that's the first one. Followed it up in 1977 with something I've always found kind of awkward when your second album is self-titled, but your first album wasn't. Anyway, in some ways, I've heard Sammy say this is his first album. It's not. Anyway, it's usually called the Red Album for obvious reasons, this striking hypnosis artwork. And to be quite honest, this is more in line with, this is not quite as schizophrenic as his first album. Self-titled or the Red Album, whatever you want to call it. Here it is on Capitol Records, another US issue. And I'm not sure why this is here. I don't think that's part of it, even though it is red. All right, 1977, again, prolific, right? Back in the 70s, never had to wait long. Third Sammy Hagar solo album, Musical Chairs. This one's a very bizarre album cover, again done by Hypnosis. This one has the bubbling that's pretty common in old 8-tracks. This one may have been left out in the sun, but it is legible and, rare. And again, very, very similar looking. All those Capitol 8-tracks had a very, very distinctive look. Next up is still the album that I would recommend to anybody curious about getting into Sammy's early stuff. His first live album, All Night Long, 1978. Great collection of his early rockers, and they come alive in the concert setting. It's a cliche, but it is true. His studio albums to this point, the production was very tame, very polite, very AM radio type of thing, like your generic general entertainer kind of thing, even if he was playing a heavy song. There's none of that here. He's got a great band, essentially most of Montrose at this point, and great collection of his early material. So highly recommended. This album, of course, came out in 79 in the UK with a different cover, and it's called Loud and Clear. I don't know if there's an 8-track version of it. Never heard tell of one. Somebody can correct me. No one ever does. Prove me wrong. Yeah, I would really like to know if this is on 8-track. Next up is generally considered the best of Sammy's Capitol catalog for studio albums. Some people call this their favorite Sammy Hagar album, and I can understand that. It's quite good. Street Machine, 1979. This time, there's no denying this is the Red Rocker. And by now, Capitol added the barcodes to the 8-tracks. If you are a Discogs user and an 8-track collector, I've said this before, but you can scan these if you use the app on your phone, and it should scan the 8-track version in for you, because it's made to. And Sammy's final studio album for Capitol Records came out turn of the 80s, 1980, Danger Zone. This one's a little faded, but again, you don't see these very often. I'm happy with the condition that all of these are in. Another barcode one, too. And so here's where we're done with the retail. So that's, as far as I know, is all the retail ones, which means we're only in RCO territory, and actually in this case we're in Columbia House territory. So, of course, Sammy switches from Capitol to Geffen, and lo and behold, he starts selling albums. And another album that often comes up in people's lists of favorite Sammy Hagar albums is this one, Standing Hampton, which came out in early 1982, even though it has a copyright date of 1981. And this is a Columbia House copy. Easy to spot because of the blue border around the cover. They were using a smaller type print at this point. Geffen was a very new label at this point, only in existence for just about 2 years. So you've got the CRC there to indicate that it's Columbia House. Columbia House US, of course. I don't know if there might be some Canadian ones, but I'm not sure. Certainly haven't seen them. My personal favorite Sammy Hagar solo album, 1982 3-lock box. I just think this is a great collection of songs, and it's always been my favorite. So this is another Columbia House copy on Geffen, using a different print at this point, and on the back there, and yeah, songs are mixed up. We'll just leave it at that. Now, one that I'm missing also came out in 1982. It's the Capitol Best Of called Rematch. That does exist as a Columbia House CRC US 8-track, but I've never been able to find one. It's on my Discogs want list, and that's that. Early 1984, now I classify this in with Sammy's solo material. Hagar, Sean, Aronson, Shreve, Through the Fire. Story behind it, most people know. If you're watching this, you probably know the story behind it. I consider it part of his solo career. It's on his label. He's the singer and the main writer. And I was going to say because this was quasi-live, they probably left the track listing alone, but they certainly did not. The songs are all mixed up, but this is very, very rare. Now, also in 1984, as people know, Sammy's most successful album, VOA, came out with I Can't Drive 55, his signature song as a solo artist. There's absolutely no reason for it not to exist on an RCO, either by Columbia House or RCA Music Service. I have never seen any evidence of it. Makes no sense at all. Someday they may surface, but it's 2025, and I've been looking into this for well over 30 years, so I don't know. Makes no sense why VOA wouldn't exist on 8-track, especially because this next album did. One of my prized possessions, I don't have any 8-tracks from 1987, but here is one of them. It originally was self-titled, and of course that's all that you get with the 8-track version. It's actually called I Never Said Goodbye, but his 1987 album, Post Van Halen, Contractual Obligation album, exists on 8-track. This is a Columbia House, and they had changed both the sort of the color of their cases they were using, and also made it a smaller font. So there you go. That is, as far as I know, all of Sammy Hagar's solo albums as they exist on 8-track. I know Rematch is out there, but there's really nothing on that I haven't already shown you. It's just to have it all in one place. Don't forget my Sammy Hagar book, Red on Black, The Listener's Guide to Sammy Hagar, available through Amazon. Thanks to everybody that's supported so far. As of printing this, book number 6 is on the way. All of my books are available through Amazon, and I thank everybody who's supported me by buying the books and by watching the channel and by purchasing some merch off of TeePublic. All that stuff will be listed below. So happy birthday to the Red Rocker, Sammy Hagar, and thanks for watching this edition of Tim's Vinyl Confessions. We'll see you later.